Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Batko of the Post-Gazette. So give us a call tonight at 412-575-2600. We're going to talk about a lot here tonight. The Pirates, it look like they're going to snap their 5-game losing streak right now, currently playing on Apple TV. So it's hard for a lot of people in Pittsburgh to watch the game right now, but they're winning 9-1. I think it's in the 7th inning when I came down here. But, hey, the encouraging part of this game for me, real quick, before we get into the Steelers and the Penguins, is Henry Davis hit 2 home runs and Marcell Ozuna also hit a home run. They need production from those guys if they want to start winning more games and go on winning streaks instead of 5-game losing streaks.
Yeah, not the first multi-homer game of Henry Davis's career. He actually did it a few years back against, I think it was the Angels. Ohtani was pitching. So, but obviously the first one with Marcell Ozuna also homering in that game. So yeah. You might remember where you were that night, Rich.
Where was I? I don't remember.
No, I mean where you were for Henry Davis homering twice in the same game as Marcell Ozuna knocking one out of the park as well. Remember this night. Mark it on the calendar.
We are going to remember it, and we're going to remember it well because I want to talk to you about the draft too. I know it was a week away, but what picks did you like and what didn't you like? I think I keep harping on that 4th-round pick, Caden Weechen. I wasn't a big fan. I felt like they could have got him later in the draft. I also thought there were better returners at that point that could do more things, like a Mike Washington or a Skylar Bell. I thought that would have been the better pick and maybe take your chance on getting someone like him a little bit later. Obviously, that Gabriel Rubio, the guy hardly played at Notre Dame and then was injured and wasn't even on anyone's list. I do like the couple of the defensive backs. I know some people aren't high on them, but they're super fast guys. And, I know both of us are pick guys, but I kind of like the Drew Aller pick. I know some people are a little bit earlier, but why not take a chance on him?
Well, when you went down the pit road, Rich, I thought you were going to say you take a guy like Caden Weechen when Kyle Lewis is still on the board. Now, what if he goes on to be a really useful NFL player and Weegen's just an okay return man? That's the big head scratcher to me, along with the Notre Dame defensive lineman. Not that I want to pick nits too much with a 6th rounder, a late 6th rounder at that, but I think those ones kind of came out of left field. I talked to somebody in the league when the Weechen pick was made early on day 3 who was like, that's pretty high for a returner. They didn't necessarily see it coming either, but they said he is very good at what he does. So I can kind of see the vision in terms of working him in there to be an actual difference maker finally in that phase of special teams.
Yeah, they need that, but is it Gunnar Olszewski 2.0 or Ryan Switzer 2.0? I mean, I think we were all scratching our heads. We were over at the team headquarters on the south side when it happened, and the guy was on the golf course. He didn't even think he was going to get drafted that early.
Yeah, that is pretty hilarious that he wasn't really waiting by the phone when round 4 kicked off at noon on that Saturday. He probably thought he had plenty of time to play 9, maybe even play 18, get home, shower, be with his family before anybody came calling for him. But the other thing, too, I mean, you mentioned that, returners kind of a luxury pick when other players who can maybe help you out on offense or defense were still out there. I wouldn't have minded if they don't take Weechen at all and they draft Eli Heidenreich in the 7th round from Mount Lebanon and Navy and try him out as a return man. He did punts in college at Navy. I don't think kick returns, but in today's NFL, I think he has the skill set to do that. So in a vacuum, I like Weechen and Heidenreich both in their odds of contributing, but having them both in the same draft class almost makes me like both picks a little bit less, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think Heidenreich's going to be a special team star. I think that's where he's going to shine. I don't see him playing too much on offense. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens and how this season unfolds, but I envision him more of a special teams kind of guy for the Steelers this year. I use Mike Washington and Skylar Bell as examples because they're great returners too. But they also, Mike Washington was a pretty good running back for Arkansas, and Skylar Bell obviously is another playmaker at the wide receiver spot. So they did draft Jeremy Bernard, and we know his name is Jeremy, but even on the phone he said it was Jeremy. So I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce his first name. Is it Jeremy or is it Jeremy? But anyways,
that's a Yinzerism, isn't it,
yeah.
Rich? We kind of get lazy and shorten a lot of words in our dialect. I know growing up, I had a couple high school friends named Jeremy.
Yeah.
I don't think we stressed all 3 syllables in that name, but this one's easy for the new Steelers wide receiver. 2 syllables, Jeremy. We'll go with that.
Like Germany, Jeremy.
And not like the Pearl Jam song, apparently.
He's going to be the slot guy, right? I mean, you would have to pencil him in as the 3rd receiver. I would think so at this point.
Yeah, well, I think he's most likely to play the majority of his snaps there. But, I mean, if you've picked up on any of what Mike McCarthy's been putting down as far as how he wants this offense and particularly the passing game to look, there's not going to be a de facto slot guy. There's going to be versatility for all wide receivers he throws out there. He wants players who can line up inside and outside. So depending on where the mismatch might be in a given week or against a given defense, maybe you put Michael Pittman Jr. in the slot. Maybe you put DK Metcalf in the slot. But certainly I think all things being equal, Bernard has the skill set that lends itself to that the most out of all those guys.
Where do you put Roman Wilson?
In the number 14 jersey. Did you see that? He's switching numbers, which sometimes I feel like that's a little bit like when your friend shaves his head or something, and you're like, all right, are you going through some stuff? Are you okay? So maybe this is a precursor to Roman Wilson's breakout, or maybe it's a sign that he does kind of need a fresh start, change of scenery. He's not getting it so far on the football field. In fact, he's getting a second-round receiver sort of recruited over him. But yeah, I still think he has one trait that maybe that is lacking in this group a little bit. And that's just that straight line speed. Maybe there's still a role for him that way. I know DK Metcalf has that, but he's getting up there in age. So if Roman Wilson still has that suddenness, that explosiveness that he showed at Michigan, maybe he won't completely be in no man's land.
All right, stay right there. Let's get to the Penn West University question. I just scanned that QR code on the right-hand corner of your screen. And I want to talk about this guy after the break. Well, Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers before OTAs. That's the big question. The Aaron Rodgers saga continues. And we'll try to dive into some answers here after the break. Stay right there. All right, do you have a problem with Aaron Rodgers coming back? I want this saga to end. Why couldn't they figure something out and say, you know what, Aaron, just sign something. You don't have to be here until training camp. We don't care. Just sign a contract.
Why couldn't they figure something out? I feel like it's more about why can't he figure something out?
I know. I mean,
but I hear you. They could also put their foot down at some point if they wanted to. Maybe they sort of did that earlier this week with the unrestricted free agent tender that they placed on him. Maybe that was exerting the slightest bit of pressure that they can without fully upsetting the apple cart there for number 8. I don't know, Rich. I mean, I think
are you ready to move on? Because I am.
I could go either way. I look at it as if you want to be a contender, in their minds at least, a contender to win a playoff game for the first time in nearly a decade and get over the hump, makes sense to bring him back, and especially you hope the supporting cast has been bolstered so that he doesn't have quite as much on his shoulders. But on the other hand, for the long-term health of the organization, I don't begrudge anybody like you who says, maybe let's move on, and if you have a bad year, then oh well, you'll at least have some more data and some more evidence on what you're working with Will Howard and now Drew Aller as well.
Exactly. Brian in Brentwood. How you doing, Brian?
I could go either way. I look at it as if you want to be a contender, in their minds at least, a contender.
Oh, okay. I thought he was asking a question, but that was actually you talking, Brian, because the guy was on delay.
His name's Brian, too?
His name is Brian from Brentwood. I know you don't live in Brentwood, so it can't be you calling into our show.
Correct.
So Jace tweeted us just now, with Aaron Rodgers likely returning, do you think Mason Rudolph will be dealt soon?
Well, I think the market around the NFL has told us for years now that there aren't a ton of suitors for Mason Rudolph for whatever reason. There have been other times where he is essentially the odd man out or the bonus quarterback, the surplus quarterback for the Steelers, where they've been in a circumstance where, it would make sense to get pretty much anything you can for your number 3. Well, they've never come calling before. I hesitate to think that they're going to come calling now. But yes, if you're Omar Khan, if there's any opportunity at all for a team that's quarterback needy and Rodgers is returning, sure, I'd want to see what I could get for Mason before I just outright cut.
Okay, I have a conspiracy theory, and tell me if you think,
let's go.
Are you on board with this? I actually think Will Howard is the one that they're trying to deal. I mean, all they do is talk him up, and it's like he's the next Tom Brady. Is that like a smokescreen? Are we missing something here, or do they really love this kid that much?
I don't think any team would be swayed by that, though. I mean, they have to see it, and he was a 6th-round pick himself, so we also kind of know what market is out there for Will Howard. Now, what I thought you were going to say, it's not necessarily a conspiracy theory, but I brought this up on the Showdown Sunday night with Bob, and Jeff Hathorn looked at me like I had 3 heads, but I said, what if Will Howard doesn't play well at all in the preseason? Maybe he's the odd man out. I mean, at that point, I know Mike McCarthy doesn't like to give up on quarterbacks too soon, especially young ones, but you already have your developmental guy in the pipeline in Aller, so I think there's at least a little bit of pressure on Howard to go out there and outperform Mason Rudolph so that he isn't on the outside looking in.
Well, no question about it, and you know they would like to keep Mason Rudolph around because they know that he can win games, right?
You'd at least feel more comfortable, I think, with Rudolph, albeit in a different offense that he's never played in. I'm just saying, we all have high hopes for Will Howard, and I like Will Howard too. I thought he was definitely better than a 6th-round pick coming out of Ohio State, but if he doesn't play well, it's a 6th-round pick still at the end of the day.
Hey, remember how we were all high on what was the guy? Well, I can't even remember his name. Skylar.
Oh, Skylar Thompson. Yeah, he played well in the preseason last year.
He played well, and he's not on the team anymore either. So
he got hurt, but they haven't gotten down to business with him again either.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to try to get some phone calls coming up next. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. The Pirates and Reds are currently in the 9th inning, the top of the 9th. The Pirates are up 9-1, so I think it's a pretty safe bet that they go on to win and snap that 5-game losing streak. And they need to take 2 out of 3 against the Reds here because the Reds are in first place. This division is so tight. The Pirates are in dead last, and they're going to have a 17-16 record. But it's still time to panic. I'm not panicking. I think things will shake out on the wash over the next month or 2.
I'm going to the game tomorrow, Rich, so if anybody watching or listening out there sees me, come say hi.
What's your record at games?
0-1 this year.
Maybe we can snap that streak, too.
Yeah.
Hey,
small sample size, really small sample. April, or that's May now.
I don't know about you, but I don't really follow horse racing, but I always enjoy the Kentucky Derby, and I'm going to enjoy watching this one because there's a horse named Renegade. How could you not bet on that guy, especially if you're from Pittsburgh, or that horse?
Especially after draft weekend.
Oh,
Renegade stole the show there at one point. I guess that was right before the Maxi Honachor pick, right? That they were blaring that, and then we all got kind of thrown for a loop.
On that one.
But we'll always remember his draft night, that's for sure, whether he's good or bad.
And there's no doubt about it, because none of us in that room even knew what happened because Omar McCarthy came in so soon.
Omar McCarthy? Or
Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy came in soon right away. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't find out until I was walking out to do a live shot for KDKA.
And it still continues on, the fallout from that. I guess the Athletic, Mike Sando, he had a report that some scout or exec in the league told him that the Steelers have been known to call guys early, and they're not sure if it's subterfuge. That seems like a little bit of a leap to me, Rich, but still people in the NFL are talking about what went down.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, what do you think? Just because the Steelers are on the phone with them that you're not going to draft a guy?
I mean, I do know that I think there's a famous quote from a GM out there who said, "We make sure you get the guy on the phone so we know he's not dead." But
I heard that too.
Right.
That's serious. I've had a GM tell me that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I guess you can never be too sure of. You always see those. They're almost kind of corny but emotional draft calls of, "Hey, man, you ready to be an Eagle? You ready to be a Steeler?" What if someone said, "No, I'm absolutely not going there."
All right. Speaking of Ihanachor, we have about 90 seconds here. I mean, I like the pick. It was obviously bad optics right there, but I don't mind the pick. But the big question is, where's he going to play? Are you going to move all kind of parts around to put him at right tackle and then move Faetano to left tackle? Or are you going to keep Faetano at right tackle and try him at left tackle? What is going on with Broderick Jones right now? I know they're not picking up his 5th-year option, but I think that's the head scratcher.
That's why I really didn't even delve into Maxi Honachor much in the pre-draft process because – one, I wasn't fully sold on the idea that they were going to take a tackle again for the 3rd time in 4 years. And 2, I figured if they did, it would be someone with a lot of left tackle experience, of which he has almost none.
Yeah. And in JUCO, whatever, East Los Angeles, whatever community college he went to. So back to our question. Most people think that Aaron Rodgers will not sign with the Steelers. I think he will at some point. And my target date is probably like June 1st. That's what he did last year, and that's kind of what I think he's going to do this year.
I think there's a chance he'll sign the day that OTAs begin, because then that will be sooner than last year. So everyone can still kind of stand on it not dragging out as long. But, yeah, I'm kind of with those who say they'll believe it when they see it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Brian. Appreciate your time. And we'll see you next week, same time probably. And hopefully we see you guys on KDKA News right now.